Hello friends, welcome. I'm Commissar Marek, and today I bring to you something new, which is going to be a first episode of the podcast, The Triumph. And what The Triumph is a place where I show you people who hold exceptional place in the community, and due to their effort, we enjoy the game and the mod in such a way that we can. And because these people are usually pretty invisible, this is a place for them to talk to the community in a way so that you can get to know them a little bit, as well as maybe their thought process. So this is a podcast, meaning that there's going to be back and forth between me and the person who I'm interviewing, which is in this case Sam. Hello everyone. I have a very special guest here today with me. It's SamuelRFHD, who is the best player in C3 Augustus that I know, personally. He's here to provide some insight in how he got to be at his level, as well as give us some tips. So, hello Sam, I'm glad to have you here with us.
Hello Marek, I am happy to be here, though I don't know if I'd necessarily call myself the best. Come back to me in 30 years, and if I have the same amount of notoriety of like a Bruegel or some of the other ancients on the
C3 Haven.
Heaven Forum, yeah. Which I actually remember seeing those guys back in the mid 2000s, early 2000s.
I think Bruegel's still active from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've seen him post.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like obviously it's subjective, but with Augustus specifically, I don't think there is anyone that really goes so deep in the systems mastery department. So at least from my perspective, you are the best. And obviously, like, there could be some absolute genius that's just gonna come out of nowhere and put us all to shame. But that hasn't happened yet.
Well, I'd be excited to see that person
Yeah.
if they did come out. It would be fun.
Of course.
Because I have told people in the past that you don't want to compete with people who are the exact line that was given to me. I was back when I was in high school, was from a coach. He said, look, you can either be on the JV team, the junior varsity team, the younger team, and you can be the best in the junior varsity team and you can win all your stuff and it'll be great. Or you can be on the varsity team and you're going to get your face smashed in every single day for the next 2 years. But then you might be actually halfway decent. And so I've always wanted to be on that varsity team, if it will. Like, I like having that extra challenge.
Mm-hmm. I also think, since you mentioned that, I think it's also specific to the niche, in that there is no real competition, as in neither me or you have a channel that really is your job, like streaming or playing the game. So for us, really, competition isn't the same as, for example, if you were someone huge, then someone coming out who's great, that would be an actual threat. Even if you were nice, you would still see it as a hazard. While for us, it's like, okay, someone intelligent, like a freaking genius, has spawned, and the reaction, at least from my side, and I predict from yours as well, would be, okay, let's get together and use that knowledge. Maybe get smarter. So that's the reaction.
And I think that would be a mistake anyways for the person who, like you said, that's their career, because what is interesting isn't just seeing someone who's doing really well. It's seeing someone who is competing against someone else who is also doing really well. It's kind of like, like Caesar 3 doesn't really have a speed running scene, but it's like the, speed running scenes for different like Mario games and things like that. Where you have multiple very, very skilled players, and there's this constant back and forth between them as they push the game further and further to the breaking point. And that competition, I think, is always enjoyable. I think it benefits both players.
Yes.
Both from like a skill level and also bluntly from an economic level. I've been playing Caesar 3 in one form or another since basically the late 90s when it came out. I was actually playing Caesar 2 before that. I still have that special place on my hard drive in my heart for that game. If we ever get province systems.
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention that. You stole it from me. Okay. Yeah.
Well, okay, I have heard rumors of this off and on over the years, and it's one of those things. But yes,
Yeah.
anyway, so I've been playing it off and on since the 90s, and it's a game that I've come back to over and over again. I was really heavy into playing, not competitively, not well. I never had the APM, the actions per minutes or clicks per minutes or whatever, to do like real RTS, StarCraft, Warcraft, that sort of stuff. But I enjoyed playing it single player on my own.
So you were always...
Civilization.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. So you were also interested in RTSs in general? I think we also have that in common. Because
Yes.
I think second game I ever got, first one was Caesar 3, and then the second one I got was Age of Empires 2. So, yeah.
So the first actual game, like more complicated than, like the solitaire or free cell or whatever on the computer.
Yep.
The actual like game. I didn't get, my older brothers got, but it was a battle chest of Warcraft. So Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2.
That's cool.
And I remember playing that, and I was probably too young to be playing that because I think I was like 5 or 6 or something at the time. But it was cool. It was awesome. But I also got into like Civilization, and I've always kind of like enjoyed. I've never been someone who enjoys playing games where it's pure reaction speed. I never really got into FPS. I never really got into any of like Counter-Strike and stuff like that. I had friends who did, but I always like games that force me to think, and I like games with systems, and that's partly what I think kept bringing me back to Caesar, is that it has a good gameplay loop that's rewarding. You know what you're doing on every map. You're getting into it. You have this specific thing, but there's always like another level of optimization, another level of just tweaking. Okay, I'm going to shift this road slightly, and so on.
It goes. Sorry to interrupt. I think one key component of Caesar is that it goes super deep, and also at the same time, it's not really necessary to know everything, even though the learning curve is quite a bit steep if you were to play the OG, especially with the immigration bug, as we discussed sometime before. But I think that it does allow you to still enjoy the game and play it, even though you might be doing like many things wrong. And you can see that because there are still people to this day who do just go into a CCK map, maybe build a nice city that's maybe even inefficient on purpose. Others just don't really know the nitty-gritty and they still can enjoy it. So, while there is a huge complexity, it's not absolutely necessary to know it all.
No, it's not. And that's what I like about it, is that it has a relatively low barrier to entry, but it has a lot of room for improvement inside of it.
Easy to learn, hard to master, as it's often said as
exactly.
the
Yep.
holy grail of gaming.
Well, and like I said, it's the gameplay loop. It's the music. It's the
atmosphere
the
feel.
Creates, and that's
the feel is amazing.
Hero, for instance, is very similar mechanically. There are some differences, but mechanically, it's very, very similar. I don't know what it is. For myself, Caesar 3 always stuck with me. For one of my older brothers, he was Pharaoh. Like he loved the game Pharaoh. He couldn't be bothered to play Caesar, but he would play Pharaoh.
Just something to note. I think that Pharaoh came out like half a year or something after Caesar. It is objectively an improved version of Caesar.
Oh no, definitely.
At least in its basic form, like obviously with Augustus, I think that it flipped the script a little bit.
Yes. The issue that I always had with Pharaoh is I just couldn't get into the atmosphere. I don't know if it was maybe the art style or whatever, but there was just something in Caesar that appealed to me.
With Caesar, it's specifically the Roman theme. It tends to somehow stick, at least it did to me, more than the Egyptian one. Even when I was 5, when I first played the game, I definitely felt like, it's super interesting. Everything's also like the environments. Like obviously I'm from Europe. So to me, looking like at a desert in every single map with Pharaoh, I did play it, but it never really felt like somewhere I want to be, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Yes, and I think that was the problem with Pharaoh. Pharaoh, every map felt very similar because at the end of the day, every map was you're in the desert, there is a river, and there are probably some rocks somewhere. But like,
That's
even the very basic level of you have these 3 climates in Caesar 3 gave it a little bit of extra variety, gave it a little bit more extra character. It's definitely an aesthetic choice. I like the sprite art better in Caesar than I did in Pharaoh. But again, like for the time, Pharaoh, roadblocks, mechanically totally better. Like not even close. The roadblocks 100% made it. Well, so to be fair, I never got super deep into Pharaoh because I got tired of having saves collapse because the stupid monuments wouldn't complete properly.
All right.
That was part of the other reason I never got much into Pharaohs. I just could not deal with the monument, whatever that was. Because you'd spend 2, 3, 4 hours, and you're a kid, you got school, you got classes, you got whatever. You spend half a week or a week trying to get this map done, and then you suddenly realize it's bricked, and
that sucks.
You are 12 or 13, so you're not necessarily the most foresight, and so you have one save and an auto save.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. But yeah, it's so. Anyways, back to Caesar. So I kept coming back to it, and actually, I saw Augustus few years before I really got dug into it. And I saw it initially, I was like, oh, global labor pool. And my initial reaction was probably similar to a lot of Caesar 3 Julius players, which was, that's just making it too easy. That's just making it whatever.
Right.
What actually dragged me into Augustus wasn't any of the quality of life. It wasn't any of the extra functionality or anything else. Because again, like I saw the grand temples, and I'm like, oh, why do we need another? Why do we need extra whatever? What dragged me into it was I saw some of the scenarios that people were putting out. Specifically yours, but there's a couple other ones that I can't remember who else. I want to say Hukin had one from the time period, but there were a couple others that had started to play around with the events. And I was like, okay, so there's events now. So like this is kind of like the first couple missions where there's actual like checkpoints and things you have to do. Okay, this is kind of cool. This changes up the gameplay loop a little bit, but gives some more variety. And then I actually found your Arrakis Dune map. And that was 100% what got me sucked in. Because I started playing it and it broke. The event is, right. I think we talked about this before, but like the event for Stone or whatever had broken.
Yes.
And so I'm like,
what to do?
So I went on your Discord, and then you were like, oh, yeah. I was like, so I fell into the map testing kind of inadvertently, or out of annoyance that I couldn't play the scenario that I wanted to play than anything else.
Right, interesting start.
And then as I got I'm sorry, say that?
Yeah, that's an interesting start, because the level of involvement from your side later was extraordinary, so...
and that goes into it, like we were talking about, right? The low barrier to entry, but lots of room for improvement, lots of room for mastery. As I started to get dug into it, I started to kind of see, okay, this is how this is actually working. I've never really, I had like one college class, like at that point, 6 or 7 years earlier, like super basic intro to coding. Just for the heck of it. I forget even why I decided to do it, but I think it was just because. So I had no familiarity with any sort of coding. But, this is open source. This is all on GitHub. Maybe I can figure out what's going on in there. And this is back 2022. So, ChatGPT is not there to the rescue to help me figure out how the heck coding works. But I've always kind of like had side interests in that. so I was like, okay, so I'll start digging into this. And then you were like, well, I have another map. And then there was the Gothic map.
Oh yeah.
And like scenarios started coming out. Like I said, there were several other map makers at the time. Scenarios are coming out. I'm like, oh, this is good. This is great. I need a distraction anyway. So I start digging into it, and it's that reward loop. It's master something, figure out something, push it to the next level. And kind of really see how far we could take it. And then I think it was like 3 or 4 months after that you were like, hey, so I'm thinking about doing this like remaster of all the original campaign missions, but make them good.
Oh yeah.
Deep and complicated. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll check that out for you. And then I lost 6 months of my life.
It was like a time shift event. It's like time disappeared so quickly during the RC development.
Thinking back on it, it was kind of ridiculous because you would post a map and I jumped straight into it, and I'd be finishing in my time at like 3 or 4 in the morning. Because I often be up late doing work or whatever, and then I'd get done at 1:30 or 2, and okay, you put in 2 or 3 hours playing a game, and then go to bed and get up 4 hours later.
I'm sorry,
but no, I am to blame for everything that I do to myself. No one is to blame for my dumb decisions. But so no, I was having a ton of fun with that. Unfortunately, some of the stuff from that period, I seem to have lost some of the copies of it, but I have a few of them still where I would do time lapses of the cities, where I coded in. This took me like a week to figure out how to do just this tiny change, and it was dumb. I modified the code that would do an autosave to instead take a screenshot. Which meant every month it would take a screenshot. And I don't know how long it takes on your computer to take a screenshot, but it would take like 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It would hitch. And then 500% speed, 3 seconds later, hitch. 500% speed, hitch. And it would do this, and But at the end of it, I'd have these really cool time lapses that put up on your Discord or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely worth it, right?
Well, it was fun is just seeing how things were evolving in it.
Oh yeah, they were super interesting.
And as I was doing, and as I was doing that would figure out a little bit more of the nuances, and so I'd set challenges for myself on a given map. It's like, okay, can we get all of the large monuments built on every map of the campaign? The answer is no, you can't do that on the first map because Merrick wouldn't put in marble on the first map.
Now that's gonna be in.
Actually ultimately put it in Ostia?
So the current veteran mode that I was testing, it does count into having marble on Ostia, and it's gonna remain like that. Plus another change, which is something that I could talk about a little bit. There is gonna be an exception to the subsidy. You will be able to have concrete before you get subsidy expired on every map. And that is because I want, even early on, players to be able to maybe invest into some oracles or other things. Obviously, you could use it to start building grand temples, but it's early.
Well, that or what is that, Mediolanium, where you don't have access to the small temples, and so that particular map was a mess. I remember putting down about 100 lariums trying to keep the gods from killing me.
Yeah.
Before I could unlock workshops.
I did fix it once because this happened due to the devs adding a prerequisite of concrete to large temples, which was not a thing before. And once they did that, I had to go and fix it eventually, which I did by pre-placing some concrete makers. But that's still just a kind of, if someone lets it collapse, even though there is an engineer at the start, if it collapses or the enemies tear it down, you might still have issues. So ultimately, I think that this is better.
That sounds like an interesting challenge. You don't get to build any small temples, large temples. But that actually sounds like an interesting challenge. You only get grand temples?
And what are they? Or altars.
I mean, that would lock you at small shacks, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I think it would.
It would. But the grand temple has a priest.
I know, that's what I mean, is it lock you at small shacks until you get around to building the Grand Temple.
In a way, it's similar to the no water maps, which there are several of them. And in there, you also have shacks, or your hovels, because you don't get fountain water. Now you could go small casa with latrine.
The introduction of latrines, I like the introduction of latrines, but it does make the no water maps a little bit more kind.
Yeah, but you can disable the latrines. Like, if I was to make new map, then I would do that. Obviously, it's not practical for like people who made these maps ages ago to go and fix it just because the mod changed. So that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, I was looking at some of the completed saves for Hellish Vistas.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wait a second, how the heck does he have small Oh, because latrines. Because that was one of the nasty parts on that map, is you were stuck at shacks.
Before you start a constant war with the native. Oh boy.
Yes. Though I have a couple of thoughts on how I could go ahead and do that differently this time around. Civil War is involved in it. I need to see how bad that would be. I mean, if I got to deal with, massive military anyways, what's a couple more legions? But anyways, back to this. So I got into it. I was doing it more. And I just kind of kept pushing the bounds of what would, and then I'd hit a roadblock. I did literally sometimes. I'd hit something I didn't understand, and so then it'd be like, okay, let's throw up the test save. Let's throw up. I would have maps where I would have the entire map laid out with road networks because I was trying to, because I couldn't understand the code. But I was trying to understand, okay, how does walker behavior actually work?
This was before preview, right?
No, the preview was there. So I would be able to watch the previews to see where they would go. Weird things. For instance, if a walker dead ends, so they walk on a road and for whatever reason they get recalled, that last tile in the preview, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
So it doesn't register its presence for the purpose like a market lady or something. And that's still in the game. It's still something super weird that you're almost never going to encounter, but I've run across in a few of the sketchier ones.
Right. So the preview could lie to you if you are counting on every single tile and then the last tile does not actually convert
so
service
like if you
coverage.
have a really, really long walk that they have to do and they just turn around because they aren't going to go any further, that final blue tile that's shown in the preview, it doesn't actually go into the tile for the purpose of whatever it's doing. So like the issue that I was running into was Market Lady wasn't doing Market Lady things to Palace or something. And I was like, okay, why is this? And then it's like, oh, okay. But it's a lot of little things like that where it's just push it, see what happens. I encountered similar issues when I was doing some of the early crazy trade maps, where I was figuring out that apparently things like it, because part of the reason that trade maps work the way they do now, where we can have so many caravans going through, so many trade ships coming in, is because I would push it to the breaking point and I'd suddenly realize, hey, like half of the cities aren't even generating traders at this point. And so then go to the devs and be like, okay, so here's the test saves, here's what we're seeing. And then they're like, oh, okay. And
they fixed it.
It was, yep, exactly. And that getting involved in it has been really fun because of the fact that, I mean, the devs are awesome. Like every single one of these people who've been working on this mod, you're amazing. Seriously. The number of hours of enjoyment that you have given people, myself included, it's huge. So thank you to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they need the recognition because they do an amazing this.
Yeah, they're also kind of invisible because they don't stream. Generally, maybe Stepherex does from time to time, but you don't really see them active because obviously they have a life and also, they are on and off on the project, so not everyone is involved constantly with it. However, I think that you are right in that the amount of content that the game has and that the mod itself allowed to exist, because RC wouldn't be possible, none of the custom maps with events would be possible without the mod itself. So, just that. It's like, at this point, I think it's reasonable to say that you could get a reasonable amount of hours from this, even considering like a major release. If we were to consider like some games tell you, oh, you can spend 80 hours on this, you can probably spend like 300 hours on this without running out of things to do.
Sadly, I have it opening through GOG, so it doesn't track my hours directly.
Oh, let's be glad.
I don't want to see how many hours
Yeah.
I've spent on Caesar 3.
Exactly.
I mean, I've seen some other games over the years that I got sucked into, but this one's been its own thing, especially in the last few years here. But the other, it has to be said, the other thing that dragged me into this was the ox cart, the cart depots. And again, it's part of that ability to optimize, to make it more efficient, to make it, to get that extra level.
And also, I would say that it changed how the game fundamentally works, and that also goes to map making, because now, as a map maker, I could actually make the player make blocks far away from fertile land, which was not really practical in Julius, because you would need like 10 getting granaries to get any amount of food across.
And I did that. I did that back in the day sometimes, and it was painful. At the end of the day, Caesar 3 is a game. So authenticity should always take a degree of backseat to gameplay.
I agree.
It can be as authentic as anything, which is great, but if it harms the ability for the game to function, then it becomes a problem. The cart depots were something that would be authentic, that we would have a distribution system that would allow us to move goods. So it'd be authentic, and it would help with gameplay.
Absolutely.
And it's like, we need this. And I remember thinking over the years, like, if there was only some way I could just dump, 20 or 30 workers. Don't quote me on that, devs. Please do not nerf cart depots anymore. But if I could just dump 15 workers, no more than 15 workers though, but if I could dump 15 workers to get this stuff consistently, I would pay the money to do that.
Yeah, it's
and
really
then they
strong.
introduced it, and I was like, oh no, they're really strong, but I think at this point they are increasingly becoming really strong in the sense that like a prefect or an engineering post is really strong.
Yeah, it's
or
a baseline.
A house is really strong. It is really strong, but it's really strong because it forms a fundamental underpinning of what the game loop is now.
Yes.
And there's other things that like existed in Caesar 3 before Augustus, so back in Julius or even before Julius, that existed because you had to work around it. The elephant in the room is forced walkers, but you also have global labor pool. You have all that stuff.
Aging.
You have 9x9s, your favorite layout.
Yeah. Also aging.
But but like for all those things, they existed because they were workarounds on the system. But they weren't. So one thing that I have liked about Augustus as it's evolved is there's been in my opinion at least, a very good balance between introducing new tools while also simultaneously not just destroying how things worked. And 9x9s is a great example. 9x9s still work as a block. It's inefficient, but lots of things are inefficient. I could argue, I look at your 22x6 and I'm like, well, that's inefficient. You could actually get it a little bit larger and you could squeeze it and twist it around just a little bit. I mean,
and I know that.
One of the saves I did, I had what was it? It was 30 by 40 rectangle that had 152 insulae on it.
It's ridiculous.
Fed from one granary, one warehouse.
I mean, you can get cities fed from one supply hub. But we talked about this some time ago, and I think that you were right on that. You can get too obsessive about this, because only trying to use one grenade. At some point, if the map is huge and you need like 20,000 population, you might as well just make another supply hub, So
Well, I did, because I needed
Yeah.
a whole nother one of those, because I had
Yeah.
to apply enough work in Eternal City to start 250, 60 luxury palaces.
Oh,
but
yeah.
that's just dumb. But the point is like, you can push the optimization super hard, and I think that where Caesar still has a lot of modern validity is that it has a solid core gameplay loop, and it allows a lot of different methods of play, and you don't have to hyper optimize it.
Yes, but some caveats, if I might. So first, it depends heavily on the map in question, because like if you go into Hellish Vistas, and it depends heavily. But yes, it's correct that like the original maps are forgiving. They were kept compatible. You can still play maps like that. They exist specifically for this playstyle, and even new ones are created. There are some people on Haven who publish maps like this, and that's fine. We are glad that this exists. There's nothing about this that's wrong.
And what's been interesting about that is I've seen some of those people that have been posting maps over time. A lot of them have been improving the quality of the map that they're making. So they start with the very simplistic CCK style one, where it's just massive open field. But over time, they start playing around with events, start putting in some Maroks randomly in the middle of the field just to annoy the player. They start doing all this stuff, and that's, again, low bar to entry, easy entry, but lots of room for optimizing, mastery, expertise, whatever.
Yeah, I also recommend that for map makers, by the way. Try to make something simple at first, learn how it works, and then, innovate with whichever direction interests you, really.
And that right there is actually a great example. The one map I only ever tried to make, seriously, was way too complex. It was way too complex and way too hard.
I liked the ideas you had on it.
Well, and it's one of those ones that one of these days I might go back to and try to fix up with all the new events, because there were a lot of things that I was doing in there because I had to, because it just wouldn't let me not do it that way. But especially, I mean, at this point, we're able to, in the events, we can destroy bridges, can't we?
I think so.
Yeah, and I know we can do a lot of other stuff. There's lots of things that are in that now give a lot of options to people.
If I may, one thing that I want to come back to with the 22x6 itself, as I often say, I do say 22x6 or show it to people in the videos because it's an easy thing that never breaks. And it's still very efficient compared to like the old school blocks. That's the reason.
Exactly.
However, I know that there is a block that's like 28x6, and you can absolutely make that. And if you are willing to, maybe be careful with walkers and maybe reposition some buildings, you can get it. And it's like, how many? 8, 10, 12 extra houses? Something like that. That's fine. That's good. But it's not absolutely vital, I think, for the block to work or like the concept to, because new players
especially if you're willing to play with the walker preview and kind of sketch things out, that the mega block that I did, that was like it was a C-shaped block that was mirrored, and it's like 30 by 16 with the C coming on, so you'd have houses all around this thing. And about a third of the spots were walker compatible, so you could get a walker to go all the way around. But you'd have to be really careful about how you're planning it out and all that. And again, like back to that optimization.
Yes, but also one thing, because you can place a building and it works, and then even if you don't connect it to the road, by placing something around it, by blocking the HTL destinations, they can change the pattern. You know that, right?
Yep.
So,
I figured that one out.
It's super annoying.
Well, in the case of Mega Block 1, that didn't matter because I had to plan out the entire thing before I started it. So I knew where all the roads were. But no, like on a normal map where you're not trying to do something crazy like that, yes. And I'm sure you've had the same issue where you have a squiggly block that you have to put in because of space constraints, and then it breaks because, of course, it does.
Yes.
But, that's part of to me, that's part of the charm of the game, is that there's still some there. You know, I was thinking of some of the other city builders that I played, like one of the most, well, not that recent, it was a few years back now, but Nebuchadnezzar, when it came out. Fascinating concept with being able to control pathing, but what, besides the fact that its military was atrocious, but the walker system, at first it felt like it'd be good, like there was a lot of granularity and control and so on, but at the end of the day, it was still basically just walkers with extra steps.
Yeah, I think I have, if I may, two things that I would say about Nebuchadnezzar, and that is, one, configuring walker pathing for every single building is tedious, and it's something that there was an idea about Augustus, and I said, okay, great, because specific use cases. However, make it optional, completely optional, and it would auto-detect baseline, and you could go and say, oh, you're stupid, do something else, and that's fine. But like, it wouldn't necessitate you doing that for every single building, because otherwise it would be basically unplayable.
Well, and that's the point. That was what frustrated me about Nebuchadnezzar. It's like, I think it was like only about a third of the buildings you had to do that way, but it was still
too much.
To me, what it felt like is it was finicky with no payoff.
Yeah, and also
because at the end of the day, you would figure out how to optimize it, and then you'd have to just lay out the same path. Whereas in Caesar, you just place down your market. You know that it's going to follow the entire loop. You're done, so you don't have to do that.
But there is another part of it which you touched upon, and it's actually really well thought out, I think, and that is the linearity in Nebuchadnezzar works against the game. Because as we discussed in Caesar, you could have the perfect block that's just, you know, absolutely pinnacle of design and houses a lot of people, and then suddenly, because unrelated things were built around it, it breaks the pathing of some buildings. That's annoying. However, at the same time, it always makes you be on your kind of toes, because you never know. While in Nebuchadnezzar, you set something to do something, and it does constantly, without fail, ever. And it might seem like a good thing. However, in a way, it's not, because that mastery goes kind of down, you know, it does not really lean into that, because anyone could do this. While in Caesar, it's more like your own experience grows as you play it, and once you understand these things, then even masters at the game will always be like, oh, this happened. It's not like, obviously, I predicted it. You might not predict all of it. It's not possible to predict.
There's a lot of playing it by feel. I mean, I know in one of the tile distances travel for different production things and so on, and that's something that you can count out every one.
Yes.
Right? And they could even have that, like, I don't think it needs it, but like you could have that in Augustus, where it would actually tell you, like, here's the building, here's the closest warehouse that it could go to, is this within range, sort of thing.
Yes.
I don't think it's necessary, because, like you said, part of the fun is getting into being able to look at it and feel for it, because it's that reward loop, right? It's the, I've done this, I've repeated this, I've developed a degree of mastery over this, and now I get to test myself. And look at that, it just works perfectly.
And
it's
oftentimes
just barely just right. And then you get that dopamine hit, you get that reward loop. Oh yeah, I did that right.
Right. And also I think that we do this almost subconsciously at this point. Like once you do reach that level of play, you don't really think about it. You do it naturally. And so there is a difference between when someone's struggling or figuring things out. Oftentimes it is because of these things, like, you know, the destination pathing for market ladies, for cars.
Yes, I was going to say that exact example. It is hard to overstate how much an extra 1 or 2 tiles for that market lady can really just brick your housing block.
Yes.
In the case of that 12,000 person double block, there were only 3 markets on each side of it. And so they're each feeding nearly 80 houses.
It's ridiculous.
And it worked because they have a super short distance they have to travel to that granary.
That's vital.
Yeah. It's vital, exactly. And getting that feel for really understanding how important that is, again, it's that low barrier to entry, lots of mastery potential.
Yes. Also,
and then once you start getting up there, then you can start really creating.
Oh yeah. One thing I wanted to mention as well is docks, because of how sea trade is terrible. Any extra tiles that dockers traverse, it's like 2 tiles, because they have to traverse that road back as well. And for exports with ships, there's like a lot of people fall into the trap of, oh, there is motion going on, there is a ship dock, there is a little crane going. That means we are, everything's working, but in fact it's bad because, the ship should be leaving sooner.
Well, and that is something that, as an example, one of the things I actually like about the change is that, because Augustus is obviously still in development, they're still adding new things in all the time. Again, thank you guys. All of you are amazing. But what's great about it is little things like now how the warehouse and the granary actually function as roads, like legitimately function as roads rather than just kind of visually being part of
and you can roadblock them.
You can roadblock them, which has resulted in a couple cities starting to burn before I kind of really wrap my head around that one.
Yeah. But it's just true.
Don't set it to auto roadblock. Set it to be allowing for everyone, because 20 years of muscle memory will betray you.
Absolutely.
But it's little things like that where it's, okay, now I can again, little extra tools to optimize, to push it just a little bit further. I've been redesigning how I do blocks and things like that because of that. Previously, I'd always have the double blocked, road connecting to the block. So the granary would be 2 tiles, no more. I would even finagle where I would put the markets so that the red tile, which is the one that the market lady who gets the food or goods or whatever comes out of, would always be closest to that. So like, again, cutting off 1 or 2 tiles. But now I can put it on the loop, which introduces some challenges because it makes the loop a little bit tighter, but also you can have it there. So now you can have an even shorter distance for that market.
Yeah, a higher efficiency for getting.
Higher efficiency, exactly.
It does have some caveats, like obviously it's undesirable, it's 3x3 in the block itself, as you said.
That is part of the problem, because it's that plus and minus, it's that cost and benefit that you have to calculate each time. And again, if I want to instead just go in and throw something together quick, that's easy enough to do. I don't have to hyper optimize it or anything. I was playing one of Turgan's maps the other night. And it's like, okay, I can hyper optimize this, but this is a massive map. It's going to be massive trade because Turgan does an amazing job building massive scale everything. So if you're up for a massive map with just bonkers requirements for things, his maps are great for that. But then it was like, okay, I could try to hyper optimize this, but I don't need to. So I'm just going to go and just kind of go with the flow on this, and we're going to try some different stuff.
So you were...
And again,
Sorry, to interrupt. So you were vibe city building, as we call it.
Exactly. I was vibe city building. Sadly, ChatGPT still cannot do very well with that.
No.
It still thinks for some reason glass is in the game. I know that's somewhere in the code, but it's not active.
Oh, one day, maybe.
Who knows? But so, but that, like I was saying though, getting really dug into it, really kind of figuring out how things work, down to the granularity of understanding ticks, understanding how movement works, time works, all of those things, opened up a whole nother level for me playing the game, because I could go ahead and do ridiculous things. And then it became a challenge, right?
Because you can now go further beyond, and so that led to creation of maps like the Hellish Vistas as per your request.
Yes, I wanted you to punish me, and it is a punishment. I'm pretty sure with latrines it is significantly nerfed, because that gives you an extra 25% to your housing right off the bat. Also, but it's a bit of a mess of a map.
It is.
And that partly is probably, in my opinion, one of the dangers too, though, of knowing a lot of things. Like Hellish Vistas, when you put it together at my request, I wanted you to try to prevent some of the nasty cheese that once you kind of know how the game works, you can really just break it over your knee.
Even really difficult maps, you can just trivialize.
Oh, if I wanted to cheese Hellish Vistas, it would be very easy to cheese it. The first thing I would do is I'd just build palisades around every single
native hut
structure.
Yep.
Because if they don't have a spot they can spawn, they can't spawn. And that means that like half of the challenge of the map just is. And lots of things like that. I mean, there's classic ones, right? You have the gladiator, lion tamer cheese. One of the things that on Hellish Vistas you did specifically for that one to kind of force people not to do it was the spawn camping cheese, which isn't as strong as it used to be. Because apparently if you have armies spawn camping, your legions will get hit by laser death rays from any missile troops that they have. Off map. And they just annihilate your entire legion and then they walk it.
I forgot to mention this during the latest video about military. I should have mentioned it.
Well, I remember the first time I ever saw it happen. I was, oh, that's fun. Like, I think I had 4 entire legions just
wiped out.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, don't try to accidentally spawn. And I wasn't in that case even trying that much. It was just they were coming on the map. I was like, okay, send the legions forward, start killing them, and then all of a sudden they melted and disappeared. And I was like, okay, this didn't work.
It's a thing.
But anyway, so the getting to do some of those weird challenges definitely has been some of the most memorable. And the testing too has always been fun because maps are not all like. For people who play scenarios, a lot of those scenarios, especially if they're from Merrick, but also from Turgan, from Hukin, though I don't think I've seen anything from Hukin recently. But
He's
from
been
a lot
inactive.
of the map makers, there's a ton of testing that happens. Some of those early versions are like really broken.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. The testing is vital. Without that, we wouldn't really be able to put out the same level of polish at all.
Well, I'm thinking back to some of the... was that Lindum? The second to last one on RC?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's the heavy military map. And I think initially you had invasion everywhere.
There were more invasion points. 2 more.
Yeah.
And it was extreme.
It was. I did the bridge cheese where I had them go on a little journey all over the map for a couple of years until I could get my legions built up. But it's things like that. But doing a lot of those and then trying to force myself to figure it out. Again, conceptually something is possible, right? Like you can look at something, visualize it, say, okay, math says, instinct says this should be doable. And you then figure out how to do it. Well, now I know I can do, that level of difficulty. So then you see something that's a little bit less balanced, a little bit worse. And you're like, well, I could get the other one and I could probably just push a little bit more efficiency out on one. And then you just kind of keep going. And it's like you said, it's that reward loop. It's mastering something and then getting to see it come to fruition. That's enjoyable.
And also to be said that the maps like Hellish Vistas, they are specifically built for mastery, so like it's not advised for normal players to play it because it's brutal for anyone playing it normally.
And it's purposely brutal. It is unfair. It is actively unfair. I'm pretty sure there were multiple changes you put in on that.
Yeah.
Because I was playtesting some of them, and then I was like, oh, well, I figured out this, and you're like, nerf?
Yeah. But
I found this. No. Yeah.
But the
But
defense about it is that we did put absolutely deranged emperor in there for like a satire, and it was made by request to be like that. So obviously we wouldn't unleash that upon the general audience. It's like put this in
without
RC or
warning,
something.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like, well, that's the point. It's like it is, and I think it's important that just as it is important that you have the really like straightforward CCK style maps where they're just open, no challenge per se, other than just getting to learn the system. I think there's also a lot of value having those very difficult maps on the other end.
Yes.
Because you need to have something for each level. And you need to have something to work up to. Again, like from my own perspective, I would look on the old Heaven for, and I'd see like some of the challenges that, Bruegel, Trollgoo, like some of these old guys had been doing since I was a kid, and working with Julius or vanilla systems and still getting these things to work. And it's just like,
2 engineers logged in them. For example.
Yeah, just like absolute crazy. And I wanted to try to figure out, and that one of the things, I think we mentioned it earlier, but the Forest Walker thing, a lot of people feel strongly on that.
Yes.
For me, it's not something I did when I did vanilla, partly because I just couldn't understand it. And it didn't feel right, I guess, but mainly it was, I'll be honest, I couldn't understand it. I couldn't put in the time to figure it out. And it took until Augustus and Walker previews and being able to actually really test things and iterate on it that I could understand it. And then once I understood it, it was like, I don't know how efficient this is, but let's give it a try. Let's do some weird stuff with it.
Oh, you did. I know what you're about to mention.
Yeah, so because Merrick is known as a lover of Walker 9, I did the Forced Walker 9x9 of Doom. It was something like 20-some thousand population. It was a Forced Walker loop that went in the shape of a 9x9. It was a thing.
The god is
Carthago.
Oh, on Salted Carthago, right. That's an interesting map.
That was the name of the save, is Salty, because I figured you'd appreciate it. But
right.
Why I did that was because it's like, okay, I want to make sure I understand this, because people talk about it, people have feelings. Yep. My opinion on it is you do you. If you want to do, fine. Map makers will make maps that work well with that. Map makers will make maps that don't work well. Play the ones that you want. Exactly. I got it to work in a map that was notionally difficult in an absolutely stupid way. That said to me, this is not like something that you can't do in the game anymore. Similar sort of thing I did Massilia with no global labor pool for the RC.
Oh yeah, I remember.
But again, map that 100% is not designed in a way that makes it look like global labor pool can be turned off, but totally doable. In fact, if I remember on that one, I ended up going full Grand Insulae with minimum number of luxury palaces and everything else like I was doing at the time.
I think that's right.
And it was a bit of a pain to get it to work, because you have to worry about walking paths and all that, and that was another one of those moments where I got to figure out how walkers work, and in that case, how the labor getters work, which is dumb and really annoying. Basically, it's a counter.
The more they walk past the house,
and it matters how many people are in the tile.
Yeah, but they also the more they walk past it, the more they get better access. And so just one tile.
So it counts up as it walks past housing tile. And every time it enters a new tile, it doesn't check to see how many houses are in the area, which is why, what a lot of people probably used to do in the days, you'd have that one feeder, large tent or whatever, right?
Yep. The feeder.
Ironically, if you had 4 large tents, but they were all the 1x1s versus the large 2x2, it would still be the same. So you don't get a bonus because there's more buildings, because all it's looking at is each tile. It says, is there a house in this tile? Yes. That's all it cares about. And so it's just weird things like that that I got to figure out. And then once you get to figure it out, now you can use it elsewhere. I think I also did a no global labor pool on the challenge map you had a few years back.
I remember that.
Yeah, that one was
You achieved ridiculous time, but yeah, with the no global labor, it was. You also had like added massive invasions or something, earthquake.
Oh yeah, I fixed your earthquake. It wasn't good enough.
Right. Now we have.
And then I added a bunch of invasions. The invasions were slightly overdone.
Right.
I mean, I could probably figure it out going back to it, knowing exactly how done they. But yeah, that was a thing. It was fun. And again, back to that idea of stepping up that challenge, stepping up what you're trying to do.
I wanted to say just one thing about forced walkers. I think that my 2 cents on that is that they have a real trade-off, and that is you are trading setup time and costs for a higher ceiling. Because you could make a forced walker loop cover significantly more population than any other block could reasonably have while using, normal walkers on an actual map with like terrain. However, the setup requires quite a lot of money, and it does require quite a lot of time. And also the market lady's looping, you need to kind of observe it, you need to make sure that, everything's placed, and then the feeding cycle itself is a bit longer because of that longer path. Despite them doing it, it still is something that you need to troubleshoot. Maybe,
Oh, exactly. And that's part. The other thing I would say, though, the big trade-off for me with forced walkers is space.
Yes.
They need more space. You cannot be as compact as a tight loop with close logistics and all of that.
Yeah.
But it existed for a reason. It existed because of cards.
It existed to simplify logistics, exactly. That's the heyday of the forced walker was when you couldn't just simply bring food or goods somewhere, and so you could make a massive forced walker sourcing nearby of food and then feeding it towards a bunch of people that live distant, some distance away. But nowadays with ox cards, go ahead.
Yeah, with ox cards, yeah, it's obviously a lot simpler. Separated cities and so on.
Yeah, much simpler to do what you want.
The issue that, like I said, the issue I always had with forced walkers is, one, there is a limit on how big you go, because there is a decay timer, and that was actually the issue I was having. Salty Carthago was that loop that I made was just probably slightly too long. Because there were some instability issues with it where they would access to a given service, because by the time the walker finally got back around, it had already decayed and they've started to devolve. I think I fixed it by getting
you can do it by
how am I blanking this? Which Grand Temple slows down devolutions? Is that
Venus?
Pantheon?
Venus.
Venus. Okay, yeah. Venus. Venus. What do you use Venus for other than, teetotaler maps and wine, right?
Well, desirability and entertainment.
Yeah. I swear I did it on one map. I can't remember which map I did it on, but I know I did it on at least 1 or 2 maps where I did a teetotaler map, which was no wine. The only wine could be holy wine.
All right.
So, because, you need patricians, but make sure they get drunk on the good stuff. But yeah, so it was an issue with that where get devolutions that would happen.
How you can solve it also is I'm not, I don't use forced walkers. I never made a single video on them, but I know how they work, because my refusal to use them isn't about that. It's about, I disagree philosophically about them removing a core part of the game. However, I know how they work in that if you are building like a massive forced walker loop and you are running into issues of decaying service, which is something that's expected, you know what the solution was?
I
It
would
is
assume just build more service walk.
space them out, and not just build more, but you need to actively space them out, and that means that if ever there's like a criminal who stabs someone, now you have to
It
reset
breaks
them.
everything.
Yeah.
No, and that's get that. And again, that gets back to like the finicky things you had to do in Julius and Denala. And some people enjoy those finicky things. Again, like as someone who's done some very finicky playthroughs, I can appreciate people who enjoy that sort of minutia of optimization.
Mm-hmm.
But that sort of thing, not my thing.
Same.
I did it to say I'd done it, to have a better grasp of the topic so I could speak to it with a little bit more authority. And the authority that I have to speak to it is, it works, it's not as efficient, and I like the idea, and this was partly why I did the time lapses, was because one of the things that I enjoyed about doing Caesar is you get to see the evolution of the city. You get to see it grow up and get progressively larger. And that original area you started with, I mean, you don't usually mess around with it too much, but a lot of times, especially as you get to certain thresholds in the city's growth, it changes. Not just for goods, but for services.
Even visually,
Now you have better access to.
That brings me to another thing I wanted to say. It's like, when you play and you play efficiently, you still sometimes get extra money to spend on decoration, or you might be doing stuff like, I saw Hardcore in RC doing things like leaving parts of the map unused on purpose, completely wild, not removing all the trees, and then the map ends up looking pretty good. He does build like defenses where defenses are not needed, for example, which I never can bring myself to do that, but I know it looks nice.
Well, it's one of those things that I always am like, that would be nice if I did that.
Right.
And then I don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
the waste.
I really want to have to do that. Am I really going to color coordinate my trees so everything looks pretty? No, we're just going to have the same legionary 2x2 statue everywhere. It's fine.
Or the pond, yeah. Even though technically...
So you were always a pond guy. I never did the pond.
Yeah, and you are better for it. Well, because the ponds are objectively worse, and it's because they require water access and giving absolutely nothing better than a statue, and they also cost the same. So it's just a statue with extra step. However, I think people just liked them, so I end up using it.
Well, it gets back to the aesthetic question, right? And that is one of the things that the devs for Augustus have done a very good job on is keeping the same aesthetic tone. The buildings, the new structures, like they fit within Caesar. They don't seem like this weird, sketchy late 90s mod that you download off some equally sketchy website. Like it feels organic.
Yeah, it's not slavjunk. It's like seamlessly transitioning into the game. You can't even tell. If you weren't playing Caesar before, you would not be able to tell these things apart.
Exactly. And so that's I appreciate seeing the maps where people put a lot of time and effort into creating like the specialized districts and all of that sort of stuff.
You can do that a ton.
Again, for myself, I don't get my dopamine efficiency feedback with it.
Yeah. That's right. I wanted to have you show us some of your creations and some of the more insane things.
I mean, you should recognize the beauty of that.
Oh! You found it.
Well, this is an interim because this one didn't get all the way up to Grand Insula, and I don't have palaces. Tragically, I can't actually find the final version of this.
Right. Well,
it was a thing.
This is something.
My unemployment's a bit... I think I locked my unemployment at something else on this one, too. I don't remember. This was a while ago. But this is my Salty Cathargo. As you can see, we have a nice walker loop that goes through the entire
that's disgusting.
thing here. There we go. So we can appreciate this.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you see, though, this one isn't actually fully completed. there's still a bunch of stuff that needs to get done with it.
So this is the
but-
forced Walker
but
9x9.
sadly, some of these saves I've lost. But this one in particular was a fun one because of the fact that it was such a weird goal to make. Oh yeah, this was me trying to labor sponge.
Watchtower. So many watchtowers.
Just a few of the watchtowers, yes. And that was originally, I think the first time I ever did that was on the map.
Arrakis.
Where just like, just stupid levels of watchtowers. Because if I remember correctly, you restricted
Other
walls or
fortnights.
something.
You could only make legionaries because in Dune universe there's only melee because ranged weapons exist, but shield technology is better. So most people have to be fighting with melee weapons to, kill opponents. So that's the reason for that. Oh, what is this?
I don't actually remember what this one is.
Is it? Oh, it's Metropolis
was
of
this?
Sirena.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know which one
I don't
it
even
is.
remember. I was pulling a bunch of old random ones. Let's see. Oh, this one. This is a fun one that I remember. This is the one where I
Veils.
learned how to do native suppression.
Ah.
Specifically.
Oh
We
yeah.
don't have to worry about the natives anymore.
And they are aggressive,
this-
right? So you.
Oh yeah. Where are we natives? This is also probably going to break here pretty quickly because these old maps do
Oh,
not. Yeah, see, they are. Yep, there we go. They die. Yeah, see, they're already breaking in here. But little
Amazing.
things like this where it was really on the edge of what would work, these ones don't typically load up that well.
Right.
Where was... okay, so this one was my map that I actually designed. The idea of it was basically you had like a little dinky industrial housing district here, and then a really fancy patrician block over here, and then a massive invasion from Carthage. Trashed it, and you had to basically destroy the bridge because that was the only way to prevent yourself from getting
destroyed
in the first year destroyed. And then you had to rebuild. And the worst part was because the invading army wouldn't leave the map,
You
it meant
couldn't
that you
get
had
immigration.
no immigration.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was and you had to get marble that you would have to deliver for favor or something. And so all of this was pre-placed because at the time you couldn't control where buildings were being put. So I couldn't check to see, make sure there's no marble mines anywhere else in the map. So I had to pre-place all these marble mines in the save. This was also one of the ones that I started to figure out the issues with trade because there's a fair amount of sea trade on this map.
Oh yeah, so you needed to figure out throughput.
Yeah.
Some of the to be the warehouses that are far away, are they allowing sea trade or not? Because it looks yeah, they are.
So this one, these are technically also sea trade. Most of this is land trade though. And for this one, they come in and out at the same spot. This one was basically fine for maximizing trade. If I remember correctly, these two warehouses and these two warehouses were just for sea trade. Well, or at least they're just the resources that sea trade would buy, whereas the ones further back were for land trade.
Okay, good.
But because this is a fairly short path, trade would never have an issue maximizing it. My little minimum luxury palace block up there, because I like to roll that way. Grand Insulae forever and luxury palaces minimum.
Wasn't it a case that you also didn't always make Grand Insula before? There was a case for Medium Insula because of goods.
Yes, so that happens sometimes when... oh, yeah, this one. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is the last save I have of this one. I was kind of frustrated at the end of the no global labor pool. So I shared this save on the Discord, which...
Massilia RC, no global labor pool, and massive invasion from everywhere.
Yeah, it was very therapeutic to watch them destroy the entire city. But, I mean, as we can see here, labor access... totally doable for massive industrial blocks while still maintaining that Grand Insulae level.
Yeah, and
I think
massive.
there was randomly one small tent, and I don't know where it was. But again, minimum luxury palaces to beat the map. Luxury palaces are stupidly powerful. If you
They are.
have issues getting patricians stable, large numbers of them, just get it up to a luxury palace. You need like 3 of them for a city of 20,000.
Yep.
It's fine.
Obviously, if someone plays with like a bunch of small evolutions, maybe some hovels, then it is more difficult, but you could always have like 4 or 5 palaces, and it's usually enough.
Oh, again, like even if you're on lower evolution. So getting into the math of it again, luxury palaces provide 1,750 prosperity points. Prosperity is calculated on a per house basis. So that 1,750 is a weighted average. So what that means is one luxury palace can support 1,650, so minus the 100, 1,650 points of prosperity that you can divide up again amongst lower prosperity
Evolution
buildings.
tiers. Yeah.
And that means for like a Grand Insulae, which already has 80 prosperity, if you need to get 100 prosperity, that's enough for like 80 Grand Insulae by itself.
Yeah. So 2
and most cities are going to be maybe 2 luxury palaces at most. This is my Damascus run.
Oh yeah. Only water
so
from
this
Neptune.
one started off as purely was it small shacks or large shacks for fountains? I forget which, but it was locked to that because this was before latrines. But the only water in this entire city is provided from Grand Neptune, and like this took me probably like half an hour just to figure out how to get these 2 palaces to evolve.
Yeah, it looks really painful.
It was very painful. But again, back to the point. 2 luxury palaces. Yeah, there's going to be some devolution.
Right.
A bunch of weird things happen on some of these old saves where it'll rotate warehouses randomly for no reason.
Yeah.
So
that happened due to patches. But I wanted to say one thing about this is that you didn't do yourself any favors in that this isn't like a sandbox map where you could just, let's have a fun challenge and build around the Grand Temple. No, there are rocks like right next to the temple here.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't a sandbox map. So, yeah.
This is your map. I mean, this one isn't that bad, all things considered, Merrick map, but like...
well, there is still stuff around. So, like, you have to really plan. And also, it's like next to your trade, so it's cramped, not in a great way, right?
Oh, exactly. Yes. Here is.
Oh, hellish twist.
Yeah. So this is one of the in progress ones. I couldn't find my final save. I'm actually going to probably redo this one, but this is why I was saying like latrines are huge because you're locked to large shacks without them.
Yeah.
And that puts a serious damper on your early game. But again, like if you wanted to trivialize this, you just go ahead and you grab palisades and you just palisade up all around every building.
Yeah.
And then they can't do anything to you. And it's awesome. But it also kind of defeats the purpose.
Right. Well, it would for this map specifically because that's the whole idea is you can't get water unless you fight the natives constantly because there's no mission post. But there's also relics on Hellish Vistas. Which is like the trade-offs you get with building the marble stable for the Incitatus, the horse. And they are horribly cursed. Like, most of them cripple you in some way.
Yes. No, the events on that one were great. They, they were great because they gave you options, right? Like, they hurt, duh, but they gave you options on how you wanted to deal with that pain.
Yeah, it lets you choose. Do you want... Do you like your left arm or right arm better?
Exactly. Yeah. How many fingers do we leave you with? Yeah. So this was the community challenge map that you had done. This one seems to have had some issues recently on that save. Oh well. This is one of the few instances where I do kind of have a spawn camping set up. Just because this was a space constraint with that.
Yeah, makes sense.
It is a thing. But again, good old Grand
You
Insulae.
achieved...
I have no idea why there's a small tent.
That's always there. Maybe it's bugged.
Oh, I'm sure there's a bug. I mean, I know there's bugs in these old saves. Because like I said, if I look around these warehouses, I'll find warehouses just oriented wrong.
Yep.
Or something.
I think specifically with the challenge, you achieved a really ridiculous time with this one. Like, way better than any of us.
I mean, this was the hard version that
Yeah.
I did. This one took me 56 years. If I remember correctly, I think I have, where was it? Yeah, this one.
The legit.
Yeah, so
yeah,
this
34.
was 34 years.
Mm-hmm. Which is really
Again,
speedy.
similar. Well, and this is again back to that optimization, right? You know, you set things up and it will snowball on you. So things like figuring out how to get the prosperity passed in the first 2 years for RC.
The unlock, and also here you need to unlock something with, I think bridges or something gets unlocked.
Yes, bridges take a prosperity lock, and I think they're, oh here, bridges. Yeah, so I had bridges within the first 4 years.
Right.
Bridges,
3,000
population, 20 prosperity.
Yeah. And you need to do that.
I did do some runs where I could get it in years. Like you can do it in 3 years because you can get 7 prosperity per year.
But you need to maximize the actual like ceiling each time.
Yep. So that means double food. It means pay over wages.
Does double food matter?
Yep. Double food gets you an extra point. So if you are providing 2 types of food, not every house has to have it, but if you are providing 2 types of food to a house somewhere, you get an extra prosperity.
Interesting.
So that was one of always the things that I would try to set up. And on this map, I think how I got it in 3 years is I actually didn't have that set up the first year, but I had it set up the subsequent 2 years, and 6 + 7 + 7 is 20.
Right.
It was enough.
Can we just shout out how fucking evil that trade setup is? In that this map makes it so you need to trade, or is it trade or save up? You need to save up weapons,
So
right?
this is save up and it gets yoinked out of the warehouse.
Right.
But the trade route for this goes around. And so let me see if I remember. So it goes around, goes out here, and then it goes down here.
No.
Does it go down here?
No. It leaves like where your block is. It's the worst because it also goes through your block side, the best block side.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and this one I was plague. Yeah. That was actually I was commenting on Churgan's map last night when I was doing that it's a massive trade map, and I of course put my first block right at the entrance because that way, you know, you get workers faster, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is gonna get disease really fast once this map gets advanced. But again, like it's all those little things that you don't honestly have to worry about. But
yeah, if you're optimizing, then obviously that does matter.
But this was my
it's volunteer.
stupid luxury palace one. So this is the Mega Block 1. And here's Mega Block 2. There are 152 small insli. And the only reason I didn't go larger, if I went larger, they were going to need additional furniture and olives, and I just didn't want to deal with that. And the health was, no, excuse me, that wasn't the issue. The issue was health. Grand Insulae have too high of health.
Right.
And it would have meant that instead of having a labor participation rate of, what was this, 14%? I would have had like a labor participation rate of like 10%, which just would not work with the employment. But this is an eternal city, but I can actually show you here one of the weird breaks. This warehouse very clearly was spun because you can see there is no road right there where there should be one for the access.
It's bugged.
Anyway, so this was its own thing.
And just to
I actually figured out this one. Yep.
Sorry, just the plebeian block. Can you show it again? This is not forced walkers. This is normal pathing. It's each of these quadrants has how much population?
So there's 76 small insuli in each. So 76 times.
That's almost double.
76.
Of 22 by 6. And you can see how many houses there are. Obviously, using the corner of the road access, whenever it's 2 tiles away from a road, sometimes allows you to put like a house more in the middle.
One extra cheeky house.
And also, obviously, one temple only, just so that you can get, or do you have multiple temples? Can you show me
Nope, it is one temple, like every single
right?
structure, and that includes, where is it? So I wasn't able to get schools to work because schools walker behavior is completely different.
Yeah.
Bathhouses, I know everyone hates on bathhouses. I have yet to figure out, and I don't know if this was a change between Julius and Augustus. I have never had unique issues to bathhouse. So like I said, this is 300. So this is 2/3 of all of my small insuli. This, and this is the other 150. So all of this, back to efficiency of space, right? This single double section here, mirrored, has more houses in it than this block, this block, this block, this block, and this block, almost combined. But yeah, no, this was my luxury villa.
Bonanza.
I live in America's Timu version of Australia, Florida. So this is the villages. This is where all the old patricians go, with their very fancy, very unique houses that all look identical side by side. But yeah, so this is an example of where you can get away with some stupid stuff. Like this is 3 markets supporting all of these. And there's 20 some in each of these blocks. So that's 4,000 or 5,000 population.
And they also consume vine quickly. So it's actually even worse than you might think.
Oh yeah, no, so double wine because they drink a lot. But no, I mean, this whole map is not, there is more space to play around with on this map. The problem is you only have so much fish. Yeah. And you only have 25, technically 27, because when you import, it always generates 3 parts. So you can get over the cap for imports every year by 2. If you're at 24 and then it sends 3 more cards, you can get 27.
By the way,
takes just. Yep, sorry, go.
I just want to say, is this interconnected?
It is, but it is because there's not enough space to not interconnect.
Right. So that's the reason.
Yeah, and so and there's highways everywhere to optimize logistics. This is a great example of the city. If it fails, you'll be able to tell because you'll see these granaries stop filling up. As an example of really weird random bugs from old saves, all of these workshops will not deliver.
Right.
Unless I turn them off and turn them back on.
Something at some point broke.
Yep. So there's actually, you can barely see it here, but there's a massive stack of delivery carts. As you can see them all come in, and then they get here, but no one's delivering.
Yep.
So when I tried to squeeze in an extra luxury palace, because I did actually find out how to optimize this map just a little bit more, which is you destroy this dock, put the ship maker here, put a fishing wharf here, make the ship for the fishing wharf, destroy the ship maker, put the dock back here, and then, I don't know how I missed this last time, I can actually ship both of these wharfs down one tile, which gets about another 200 fish a year. So between those two, that's like an extra 400 some fish a year, which is enough for 1 more luxury. Because you need 3 types of food.
Right.
But this map is at the breaking point. And
one
I have
thing,
a little bit of money too.
Obviously, this is the example we were talking about earlier. Like, if this was an actual map that maybe has random terrain in places, or actual terrain that makes it difficult to build on, obviously it wouldn't be possible to do the templates, right?
No.
So, this is for purely the optimization brain of figuring out what is technically the highest possible way to fit in as many people as possible for as little cost as possible. And also there is something to be said about the intentional demographic collapse with aging, because you need to only have so many workers, otherwise the unemployment would be a problem, right?
Well, and that was on this map. I got to learn how to work with that. So this was one of the maps that forced me to dig into figuring out exactly how people got old and died. The key part is, and this is again where there's been slight changes between modifications, this is slightly too high of health. And because it's slightly too high of health, let it run through, what we're going to see is a bunch of people don't die that are supposed to die.
All right.
And it will cause a crisis. Like this took, again, we're currently in the 12th millennia. There is only luxury palaces and wine.
UI? Okay. All right.
But, no, this completely broke the UI. So, bug need to fix now.
Life unplayable.
Yeah. Or like this little wharf who has to walk.
Oh,
could be super hyper optimized, but sadly no space for a granary. I figured it out. I'm spending, I think, a quarter of all of my employees are cart depots on this map. I actually raised the wages to 100 because I got tired of yelling at me about Rome wage changes. I still make a little bit of money each year though. So, it works out. The other reason I did this though, because for a while there was an argument over attritions versus trade. If trade exists, if trade is sufficient, which is a better way to spend your money? What's your break-even point? And the answer is, depends on the map. Obviously, this you can totally do and make stupid amounts of money, but if I had this much space devoted to plebeians with trade activities to do, like potentially you could be also making 100.
Yep.
It really just depends on how for what you can get away with.
It's very map specific with what works best, and obviously there is a philosophical shift because in the old maps, even OG campaign, you often had very limited trade quotas. There just wasn't maps with high trade, so you couldn't have 200 of a kind of a good sold per year. But now you can, and that philosophically shifted the game from massive cities now can be supported without labor sponging, which was something that was necessary before. And I feel like some people never really got around to accepting that, and that's fine. But obviously, I think that go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think that back to that question of authenticity play. This is a thing where the labor sponging isn't feeling very authentic, and it also gameplay wise isn't really fun in my opinion.
No.
So if we can get both that authenticity component and also the gameplay component together, then all the more power to it.
I think it's a win personally, but obviously I'm okay with maps existing that don't have it and do require sponging. I would just not elect to play them personally, but that's not out of despising them or anything. It's just not what I enjoy because I personally struggle with motivation as a player. I have that as an issue, I'm aware of it, is that if the map does not push me towards something and there's no reward loop, I often burn out. And so I'm not motivated to continue,
And this is one of the things that I think within RC and a lot of other of the come up since. But one of the things that worked really well for RC was the fact that middle game and late game especially period where everything just kind of grinds, not to a halt because you're going speed 500% to get through the map because you've done everything, you're just waiting. Prosperity, or you're waiting for a peace score because whoops, they accidentally knocked down an engineer post or something, Yeah,
but even then, you can technically finish the city and still naturally have peace to go through, and that's the most efficient way to play is if your piece is the last rating, you've done as best as you can, basically. Because that's just a timer.
I don't think I ever finished doing it. I had started running RC campaign trying to get the absolute minimum amount of time, which again always boiled down to piece rating, because your piece rating would have a less of a as it rises slower. If you're optimizing your prosperity, if you're making sure it rises each year, you can get to 100 prosperity faster than you can get to.
And this map, by the way, just to quickly cover it, this is the patricians by the pond side at Mediolanum, which is...
yes. Well, they needed a nice view, and
yeah.
they get dinner and a movie, they get entertainment. This was a thing.
It's crazy.
This can almost deal with the same Carthage invasion by itself. Almost.
Oh, really? Insane.
Just almost. But yeah, this was before you nerfed. I think I posted this one test server for Mediolanum, and you're like, maybe we went a bit hard there. Actually, no, excuse me. This one you purposely made hard because I've been complaining.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to actually do this. But the ability, I don't know. Will it let me do this in old saves? It won't let me do it in old saves.
Yeah.
But
it's a shame, but that's amazing.
It did. The build. Like, there's so many quality of life things that added in recently.
Yeah.
That just little things like having to rebuild this entire thing every single time they'd attack. It wasn't an issue of money. It's just the sort of piddly annoying stuff that takes forever. See, even on this map, there's a little bit of
it's cognitive tax for no reason, basically. So it's good that we are able to just get rid of it. Otherwise, I know you've been a fan of the RC, but clearly, I think from seeing all the cities, like you outpaced it completely. As a player, I think the RC, it's interesting because it's made more for like the median player rather than the experts. It does have a ward proficiency with faster win time, and obviously doing better feels good. However, because it's not necessary, oftentimes by being efficient you end up with like money being worthless and stuff like that, which that's the motivation thing we talked about. I feel it when I play RC and I have too much money. I myself find it like, I wish this was tighter. But I know that I can't change it further because I've observed many people, like maybe 20-30 streamers, small-time streamers who just have a couple of viewers and they play RC, and I watch every single stream. And I know that also seeing, feedback on Reddit or on Discord, I know that there are actually a lot of people who end up with like almost no money and they really struggle, and that's because it's doable with less efficiency, but there is this balance which if I start altering it and I make it harder, I still wouldn't be happy because it would never be able to really be like, not Hellish Vistas, but super hard, while still being accessible, and the accessibility part is something I deeply care about with the RC.
Well, and as I said, that you need to have both. You can't just be all ridiculous hard.
Yep.
You can't be all ridiculous easy. You need some balance between the two. All right, I wanted to quickly just go through some of these other completed ones that, unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to get off here. I hear some.
No problem. It's been a long chat, so.
So just speed running through a couple of these here, partly because I wanted to show off some of these other maps. I believe this. I want to say this was a
Turgan?
Nearby one?
No.
No, this is Turgan. I think you're right. Actually, don't know. But this is.
It's Turgan because of the
Augustus
Empire.
Tauronorus. And then we have. Who else do we have? Arabia Petra. This is the one that I believe, is this the one? Yes.
It's from
I
Zappos.
fed this entire city with trade. So there is no food production native. I mean, it's the desert. I shouldn't be able to grow, right? This was one of the ones that I figured out the problems with trade.
Yeah. The bug.
And how it forms.
This is Turgan map.
Yep, this is a Turgan map. A surprisingly reasonable population.
He does make some small ones. Not all of his are massive.
And like I said, this is not casting aspersions towards him. He does an amazing job with maps as well. That's partly what I'm looking here is for some of these other ones. Venetia. This one. Oh, this one was a fun one. I know you hated this one.
Oh yeah.
This was a Hukin Mac, and you hated this one partly just because it's tight. It is broken tight.
Yeah.
It is not built for streaming. I had to fiddle with this one for like 2 weeks to get it to work. But it's a fun one. It's one where you get to visually actually see the power of fish because of this harbor.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. That is the good part. The worst part for me personally was the iron to weapons ratio was not really doable for a streamer, if I remember right.
The price is so tight.
Now it's different. Maybe there is a price change later, but early on, when you need that money, the discrepancy is such that it's not worth manufacturing, which is a problem.
Yeah. No, so it was technically, it was like 1 denarii per something ridiculous like that. It was, but again, like that sort of really tight sort of thing this was an enjoyable. So this was an enjoyable one for the lane. This to actually fit everybody.
I like the bridge blocks, even though they are cursed. I like it because
they're beyond cursed, but
that is another thing to touch upon here is that I like it when the map forces you to do this, and then it's efficient specific to this terrain constraint. It's not efficient like broadly. This would be absolutely horrific to build if you had options, but you don't have options, therefore it's pinnacle. Which makes it ultimately interesting on that one.
This was a fair buy one, Fire of Rome. This one, again, like, it's weird things that you learn. You have these massive maps. Like, I remember with this one, there was a particular issue with pathing on the highways and roads where they would just want to do really weird stuff. They'd like go all the way around out here or something just because, even though they could go straight through the center. Again, really interesting concept behind it, interesting setup, lots of good deep events. There's just a lot of these old maps. Old as in last like 2 years since events became a thing. Sadly, I'm not sure how many of these would actually still work at this point.
A lot of them might have some issues. But if you load into it from the start and you play it, it's better. If you load a save, that's a problem usually.
Yeah, I think most of them would still work.
Yeah, if you build it from scratch, the city, it would work. But when you load it like this, then it breaks certain things. This is a Turgan.
This was another Turgan one. Yep, with the population to go with it. This one was a fun one just because of how it required you to climb up the mountain as you built your city. And then, of course, I had to put my mandatory luxury palace. And this attritional just walk through here sort of battlefield. Again, a lot of fun, weird maps over the year. Yeah.
It was a pleasure talking to you, Sam. Thank you for showing us all the cities and sharing your thoughts on the game and the mod in general.
It's been a pleasure. It's like I said, this has been a bit of a passion for last several years here, and it's even when life gets in the way and you have to step away from a bit. Coming back to it again, it's fun. It is. There's a lot of depth to it still to find.
And I think that you'll be happy to hear that soon there's going to be another update cycle of the RC, and obviously new maps because we get access to new better events. And so, generally, I'm very glad that you came back to the game. Obviously, I know that time and real life is a constraint. So if you ever feel like, stepping back from the game again, there's nothing wrong about that, obviously. But I hope it feels like home and, the game's still here for you whenever you want to enjoy some more of it.
It does, and it is. And I appreciate it. And like I said, it's... For the devs, for the map makers, you all are doing an amazing job, and it is appreciated. Even if you don't hear it from people all the time, we appreciate it quite a bit.
It's good to hear. Thank you. I think that it does come across a little bit thankless in general for a lot of map makers because they don't get much feedback, which is why it's good to get together in a community and then maybe help each other out or share testers and things like that, because that makes it really way more efficient.
Exactly.
All right. So thanks for everything and see you around. Bye.
Sounds good. Bye. Thank you.